As someone with a chronic illness, fearing that your symptoms are going to get worse is a very real thing. It can be stressful, it can be traumatic, and it can affect the way that you live your life. I have experienced this a lot over the decade that I have been sick, and I thought today I will share with you some things that I do to help cope with that fear. At times, the fear of getting worse, having my symptoms worsen, can be overwhelming, consuming even. It is especially intense when I think back years ago when I was at my sickest, when I couldn't sit up in bed, when I couldn't speak like this or even above a whisper, when I couldn't eat solid food. When I think back to those days, it's very real. It's a very real fear. Because the last thing that I want is to feel like that again. I never want to feel like that again. And although I'm better, because I'm still sick, that fear is always going to be there. Even if I were to recover 100%, I would still have that fear because I have those memories locked in my mind of how bad it can get, how bad it was back then. And just knowing that that existence, that level of illness exists, makes me afraid. So, how do I cope with that? The first thing I do is try to live in the moment. I try to focus on things that I'm doing right now, not what could happen in the future and what has happened in the past. This might sound like some new agey hippie wisdom self-help stuff, but really it works. If you focus on what you're doing right now and you don't focus on the past or the future, you will tend to mitigate or reduce the fear that you have about getting worse. If or when I can't do that, and I'm just not capable of focusing on what I'm doing for whatever reason, I tend to think about how far I've come. And if your health is improving, that means it's not getting worse. And that is what you're afraid of. So if you're getting better, you're not getting worse, and that is not something to be afraid of. And in this respect, I think it's okay to think about the future, because if you're getting better, then the future isn't so scary. So basically, only think about the past and the future if it benefits you and it doesn't scare the hell out of you. Another thing that you can try is do something that you enjoy that is unrelated to your chronic illness. Play a video game, binge watch a show, play Sudoku, play chess, go outside, do some writing, anything that brings you joy and distracts you from the fear of your symptoms getting worse. Another thing that you can try, and something that I've done in the past, is read recovery stories or success stories. People with chronic illnesses who have improved their symptoms, who have felt better, either a full recovery or in most cases a partial recovery, just something to give you some optimism and let you know that it is possible to feel better. On the flip side of this, reading stories, horror stories of people feeling worse is not a good idea. And there are a lot of those stories out there. That doesn't mean that you can't or shouldn't read them, but if you're overcome with the fear of your symptoms getting worse, it's probably not a good idea. I used to do this a lot in the first few years that I was sick. I'd read horror stories about people feeling a lot worse, and it would scare the crap out of me, exacerbating and highlighting my fears. Another thing you can do is focus on how to improve your symptoms. You can look into new treatments that you want to try. You can look into doctors that you haven't seen. You can talk to other patients and see what has helped them. The goal is to assuage your fears of worsening symptoms, or at least distract yourself from the potential of it happening. It can be a dance at times, distracting yourself and trying to find other ways, other things to think about so you don't think about feeling worse. Let me know in the comments what has worked for you. How do you cope with the potential of your symptoms getting worse? What strategies do you use to distract yourself from the potential that you might feel worse? And if you enjoyed this video, please subscribe to my channel and hit that bell icon so you get notified when I post new videos. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.